Are the Reform Party about to gain a 6th MP? Well, we could have, or most likely will have, a by-election coming up in Runcorn because Mike Amesbury, the Labour MP, has now been jailed for 10 weeks for punching a man in his constituency. There will be a petition and 10% of the constituents need to sign it in order to trigger a by-election, or he could just immediately resign to trigger one. And at the moment, about 5% of the constituents have signed it in not a very long period of time, so I expect we will end up with a by-election here. So is this a seat that the Reform Party could be taking over? Could they be getting a 6th MP in the House of Commons? Well, a lot of people are talking about this, but when you look at the general election results from July 2024, it doesn't look too hopeful for them, because even though the Reform Party came second place to Labour, Labour had a whopping majority. This looks like an extremely safe Labour seat. This is not one that is on the margin from the looks of it. So you see there, Labour's Mike Amesbury got 22,000 votes, 52.9% of the vote, and the Reform Party, although coming second, are lagging way behind on only 7,500 votes, 18.1% of the vote. So I thought, it's not really worth them putting their time into this. The Reform Party, they're talking a lot about this though, and I'm thinking, well, do they really think that they can have a jab at this? They think they can have a go? And then I saw on Twitter, Alex Armstrong posted some new polling that's come out for this constituency, which actually paints a very different picture and a much closer race than what you see in the results for the July 2024 general election. And you have to consider, things have changed a lot since that 2024 general election. Everybody loved Labour. Well, they didn't win a huge proportion of the vote, but people were very hopeful for what the Labour Party might bring to this country at the time of the general election, because they made some absolutely fantastic promises. But very, very quickly, it's all gone wrong. We had the winter fuel payment scrap. That was a bad look. We had the tax on farmers, another bad look. Disastrous budget, throwing small businesses under the bus with national minimum wage increases that are destroying small businesses like independent pubs and whatnot. National insurance hikes, also very costly to employers, very, very difficult for small businesses. And now we're hearing that energy prices are going up rather than coming down as promised. It's just not going very, very well. And the Reform Party, they have absolutely been zooming up in the polls. They're in a very different position than they were in July 2024. Although what they pulled off in that election was impressive and the number of votes they got was very impressive, they have increased their popularity a significant amount since then. So I'm not surprised to see this poll that puts Labour on 36% and Reform on 30%. So Reform not in the lead there, but potentially if Reform really pulled their finger out and did a really good local campaign there, fielded a good candidate, they could potentially pull it off. Bear in mind that when we had the general election last year, Reform were pulling together candidates for seats in a massive rush. So many people were just paper candidates, not vetted properly. It was a nightmare, right? But if you've got a by-election, the whole Reform Party can focus on just one seat at once, make sure they pick a very good candidate, and the whole party can put their effort in and campaign. Now, timing of this election will matter because we have got local elections coming up in May. The Reform Party, if they're completely focused on all the local elections coming up, it might be difficult for them to put loads of resources into a by-election hit. But the same would go for Labour, right? But Reform Party, they're already at it because they have been, this van has been pictured that they have been driving around Mike Amesbury's constituency in Runcorn, and you see they've got a big pink graphic up on the van saying Runcorn's Labour MP punched a constituent, signed the petition. The petition they are talking about is that recall petition that if 10% of the constituents sign, he is going to have to go, and we're going to have to have a by-election there. You see it says on the back there, Runcorn needs reform UK. and you need to go to resignmike.com to sign that, apparently. So there we go. Could be a very interesting by-election. You've got to bear in mind, guys, even if the Reform Party do not win this by-election outright, if they get an impressive vote share that is much bigger than they did at the general election, and it proves to be a much closer race than it was at the general election, this still will potentially be a good result for them, given that in the past it's been such a safe Labour seat. You see, the data from YouGov that we currently have suggests that most of the Reform Party's growing support has come from people defecting from the Tory party. You have some people defecting from Labour, but mostly defecting from the Tory party. Now, they definitely have the opportunity to gain in the seat from more Conservatives defecting over to the Reform Party, but it'd be very interesting to see if they are able to start eating away at Labour's vote share in this constituency. Remember that when they will be voting again in this constituency, if there is a by-election, they won't be voting for Mike Amesbury, they will probably be voting for someone else. So people might hate Mike Amesbury for what he did, but still be loyal to the Labour Party. Just because he did something horrific and punched a constituent does not mean that the voters in that area have fallen out of love with Labour. I doubt many of them will be blaming Keir Starmer for the fact that his MP punched a constituent. So there we go. We'll see what happens. Hopefully in the next few days we'll find out if that petition has reached that crucial 10% threshold. Anyway, I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you press the subscribe button if you haven't already. See you all next time.